All right, guys, Kaz here. How you doing today? I hope you're doing well. I know we're doing great. We're doing great because we're out at Kaz vs. Wild Season 7 this year, and I'm bringing you today a review of survival saws that could go into your pack. I'm going to review 5 different saws and the differences between them all. There are some slight differences between some of them. I'm going to be highlighting all of those. So let's start with this one here. This is obviously a bow saw, and it's a very traditional steel frame bow saw, but it does break down. Right now it does have the blade guard on it, but this does break down. It is possible to take this apart, and all you do is unclasp it here at the handle here, and what this does is it loosens the blade, so you can take the wing nut off, and then what that does is removes the blade. And like I said, there's other screws on here where you can break this down, and you could possibly put this in your pack. And then once you reassemble the saw, you just simply click this back into place, and it locks the blade right in place. This is a great tool to have. It has a very good saw blade on it. It has a tooth structure to where, if you can see, I'll do a close-up of the blade for you, so you can see that every other blade has what's called a clean-out tooth, and what that does, it helps remove the debris out of the saw line that you're creating when you're using this saw. So this is a more of a coarse type blade compared to other saw blades that there are, but this is a tool that could go into your bug-out bag. It does have a steel frame. It does have some weight to it. It's very durable. As long as you've got some replacement blades, you'll be fine. But this is a good tool to have. It rips through wood really fast. So it's a good saw to have. So I'm going to put this blade guard back on real quick. It just snaps on just like that. It's not hard to put on at all. And then there we go. It's all set, ready to go. Also, this is a 12-inch bow saw blade, which is very similar to this one here, which is the bow saw blade that I made here at Kaz vs. Wild. Essentially, it's the same thing as the one I just showed you. There's not many differences to it outside of the frame was bushcraft design right here at Kaz vs. Wild Season 7. The major difference is the blade. This is a medium coarseness blade, and it does not have a clean-out tooth. So does it make it less efficient? No, not necessarily. It just has a different cutting option to it. It doesn't rip through wood quite as fast as the other one does. However, it does rip through wood a lot faster than perhaps a fine tooth blade that you would find perhaps on like one of these folding saws, and I'll get into that in just a minute. But you know, this is a fantastic blade. It's also 12 inches wide, which on this saw gives you 11 inches of cutting surface. So this is a great tool that you can have in your pack, because all you really need to put in your pack is the blade and the nut and bolt holding system that's on either end of the blade. That's all you really need to have in your bug out bag, is just that blade. So once you have that in there, everything else can be made once you get to your position of where you're going to stay for a couple days or so. If you're going to set up camp, the only thing you have to have in your bug out bag is the blade. So that's one of the differences between the bow saws. Now we're going to talk about folding saws, and there is a difference between these two folding saws, and I'm going to show you some advantages and disadvantages to them each. This one here is the Coleman brand, and I really like this one because it has a nice rubber grip handle, and it has a fold-out saw blade, but if you notice right away, it doesn't click into position. And what I like about that is there's a locking mechanism right here where you undo the locking mechanism, you finish putting the blade in position, and you lock this down. Therefore, that blade is in position. It's not going to fold up on your fingers as you're cutting. And the advantage to this blade here I like because it is a forward and reverse cutting motion blade. It cuts on the forward stroke, and it also cuts on the reverse stroke. So this particular folding saw I really like. I've used it a lot here at Casverse Wild. There's many good things about it, with the exception of it doesn't quite cut as fast as a bow saw does. But the advantage to it is that it folds down very small. It just kind of folds back down just like that, and you know, it's weight-wise, you can't really beat it. It's a great tool for your bug-out bag. It's something that you want to have in there. So this is really good to have. This is the Coleman brand, so I like that. Here's another folding saw that I picked up, and this is the, I don't remember what brand it is, but there's a couple. I mean, I like this just as well. The only difference is that it does have a locking system. It locks closed and it locks open. Okay, so therefore you can't really squeeze your fingers while you're cutting. It's a really good. It's a real good lock. I like it. It's got a good blade. The difference between this blade is that it seems, while I've been using this one, it cuts much better on the forward stroke than it does the reverse stroke. It doesn't seem to cut as well as the Coleman saw, but it does do the job, and it does pretty good. There is one big disadvantage to this though, and that is when you want to use two hands. Sometimes what happens is when you're cutting, the blade actually comes unclamped, and it just kind of, it doesn't really fall apart, but it looks like it falls apart. What's happened is it's become unlocked. Then you just got to lock it back in place. So that's what this one is. If I were to choose this one or the Coleman, I would go with the Coleman more so than this one. And the last one I have is the General Saw, and this is a multi-purpose tool. It has 3 different saw blades, and I'm going to show you that. It comes in this neat little pack right here, and it's more of a multi-tool, a multi-function tool. It comes with 3 blades total. This is a fine blade here for cutting steel and very hard materials. It has this blade here which says it is for cutting wood. However, when I'm in the woods, in the forest, and I'm doing bushcraft, I like using this blade here because this says that it is the drywall blade. And honestly, I would rather use the drywall blade because it's got a larger tooth unit to it, and I think it's going to rip through the wood faster than what the wood blade calls for. Also, these things come out real easy. You just twist the handle right here, the blade comes out. You can insert a different blade for whatever purpose you want, lock it in, and there it goes. It's right in place. Also, what's neat about this is, like I said, it's a multi-purpose tool. It has a screwdriver function. Just put the screwdriver function in there. You can lock this down. It doesn't come out. You can turn it around. This is a Phillips head that's in here, and then at the end of the handle, you have a little compartment back here to where you have a multitude of tools that you can use. And this is actually pretty good. I like this for your bug out bag as well. It's a saw, it's a screwdriver, it's a nut driver, and things like that. So I like it. It's pretty cool. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a test, and we're going to see just how well these tools perform. Hey guys, thanks for following along. I'm going to now review the saws in a cutting motion. I'm going to show you how well they cut, and I'm going to use it on this log here that's in front of me, and I'm going to use them in the order that I just reviewed them. So we're going to start with the steel frame bow saw. Now this has a coarse blade to it, and sometimes it's a little hard to get started because the blade is so coarse. But you can see it just rips right through the wood. There. It took a pretty good amount of effort, but you know, sometimes the saw blade binds a little bit because it is so coarse. But overall, it's a great saw to have. Now we're going to go to the bushcraft bow saw, which has a medium coarseness blade, and we're going to see what the difference is. Right away you can tell it starts cutting off a lot easier, a lot smoother. However, it doesn't seem to dig into the wood as much as the other blade did. As you can tell, the other blade really cut a lot faster and a little bit more efficient than the medium coarseness blade. There. That was pretty good. Had to put some effort into that, but a nice clean cut, and it did real well. Now I'm going to use the Coleman folding saw. Lock it in place. And like I said, this one cuts on the forward and reverse stroke. And you can see, I don't know if you can see, but sawdust is just flying all over the place. So that's a really good cut. I like that. Now let's compare that to the other folding saw. Here's the other folding saw. I'm going to unlock it. Locks into place. It doesn't seem to have as much sawdust coming off. But nonetheless, it works pretty good. It's a good tool to have in your bug out bag. But like I said, the problem if you want to use two hands when you're sawing, if you push down with this, the blade comes backwards, and that's one thing I don't like. The general multi-tool, let's see how well this cuts. This actually cuts pretty well. I'm impressed with it. However, the only drawback is that you have a 5-inch blade, and so therefore you don't have a very good reciprocation of your saw stroke. But for smaller branches or something, this would be awesome. So folks, here are some tools that you could have in your bug out bag for sawing, doing bushcraft, bugging out. It's something that you might want to consider having in your pack. All of these saws did well. Some perform better than others, so it's up to you to decide which one you like.